Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. Tonight's cocktail is called the Blind Bat. I'm going to start a tall glass with ice. To that, I add vodka. 4 ounces. 4 ounces of vodka. Four ounces. It's a lot of vodka. Next, 4 ounces Coke. Ounces of Coke, and then white rum, just a splash, white rum. Now I'm going to stir it. Not bad. It's alright. A little boozy. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
I do love a good whodunit, and this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, number 68, The Bat, checks all the right boxes. Who's dropping the bodies? Is it the doctor, the detective, or is it the old cliche, the butler? They had me guessing until the very end. I was Team Butler all the way, in case you were wondering. All this with Vincent Price, Agnes Moorehead, bats, and embezzlement. You go, future Endora. Cheers.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg,
Hey, I'm Karen.
and welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm fair.
I'll accept that. You want to tell them why you're fair?
Because I went to Florida and got sick.
What a bummer, huh? Well, you got tan. You look good.
You know, Karen, to look good is to feel good.
Yeah. Well, you know.
It is all about keeping that youthful appearance, you know, with the getting tan and
Did you watch the
sun
Wasp
bleaching
Woman?
your hair.
You took the Wasp Woman to heart.
Speaking of the Wasp Woman, Karen, I went to my local watering hole, my usual, bar.
Where they
Right.
know your name when you walk in
Yes.
and have your order ready.
Yes. And I asked for a stinger.
How'd that go?
Not good, Karen. Not good.
Really?
She did not know what I was talking about.
Well, she's a young girl, though, right? Younger.
Yeah, she is, but she's a bartender.
Did she look it up or did you just say, no, give me a
No,
beer?
I said, nah, never mind. I told her what was in it because it's only like 2 ingredients, right?
Yeah. I think the crushed ice in that drink is key. It gives it texture.
All right, Karen, I believe this film was my choice, was it? Was it not?
This one's on you. What movie did you pick for us to watch, Greg?
Thank you for asking, Karen. This week I have chosen the 1959 Vincent Price movie, The Bat.
Nice. Do you have a drink to go along with this extravaganza?
I do, Karen.
And what's that?
Karen, that would be the Blind Bat cocktail.
And how do you make that, Greg?
Well, Karen, you're going to take a tall glass. I used a pint glass. And I put ice in mine.
I did put ice in mine too.
And to that, you're going to add 4 ounces of vodka, 4 ounces of Coke or Pepsi.
Did you use Pepsi?
I used Coke.
Hmm.
I drank the last Pepsi yesterday, Karen. And 1 splash of white rum.
Still not sure what a splash is.
I put a pretty generous splash in
So
there.
did I. I didn't mean to, but it tipped, and that was the end of that.
And then I stirred it. Doesn't say to stir. And I
I
put a
stirred mine
straw
too.
in it and the Blind Bat cocktail. It's a lot of vodka, Karen. It's a little boozy.
Yeah,
I had to add a little bit more Coke to mine.
I did too. And I may add a little more as I go along.
Yes, it's not too bad.
No, it's like a rum and Coke with a vodka chaser.
I think it'd be better if it was like 3 ounces of vodka and 5 ounces of Coke.
That's
sounds
what
like
I think mine will probably end up being.
Should we give our listener time to make their own, Karen?
Absolutely.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
All right, Karen, might you have a brief synopsis for us?
I do, but I don't think it's a very good one. See what you think.
Go on.
The Bat. A killer called the Bat has claimed many lives in the small town inhabited by novelist Cornelia van Gorder and her maid Lizzie. As Cornelia implores Dr. Malcolm Wells to help her ailing maid, $1 million in the town's bank goes missing. With greed and fear reaching new heights, Police Lieutenant Andy Anderson goes to Cornelia's house to investigate additional murders committed by the Bat. It's weird, right? But that's the synopsis I found. It's close.
That is the same one I found as well. So we're a match, Karen.
Yay. Good way to start off.
Would you like to know why I chose this film, Karen? Did we cover that? We covered
No.
it last week.
Well, remind me.
Well, Karen,
It seems like it's been so much longer than a week.
Yes, this episode comes out on August the 10th, and The Bat was released August the 9th.
Nice.
1959.
You're always so good with your associations.
I try, Karen. I try to bring something to this horse and pony show.
Not like my mamby-pamby selections.
Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did. And it was free.
It was also in color, right?
Oh, is it not supposed to be?
No, it's not.
I wondered why they all had the same color dresses on and stuff.
And I could tell again that Agnes's Moorhead's neck was a little gray at times, while her face was nice and colorful.
She has a nice long neck, though. I did notice she had a pretty neck.
And there was some blue in the butler's ear when he was standing in front of a blue wall, too.
So it was originally black and white then.
Yeah. And actually, you can watch it in black and white on Wikipedia for free, for nothing, too. So
interesting.
Yeah, because once again, it threw me. When I was reading the credits, it said copyright MMXX. And I said, oh, this must be a colorized version. But the first thing I saw, Karen, was rated 13 plus for foul language and violence.
So we're getting right into it, huh? You're throwing me off.
Is there anything else we need to cover, Karen? Or are we ready to get into the film?
Let's get into the film.
Okay. So the first thing we see is a little house in the country, Karen.
Yeah, you think it's a miniature or a painting?
I don't know. Kind of look like a miniature.
Yeah, it's not real, that's for sure. And the camera kind of swoops in through the trees, so it probably is a miniature, now that you say that.
But it's Agnes Moorehead, right, who's narrating.
Yes.
You know her from where, Karen?
Bewitched is where I know her from.
Yes, Bewitched.
Although I did look her up, and she was also in the famous movie Hush, Hush, Charlotte, which had Betty Davis in it. I've seen it recently, like within the last year or so. It's a good movie. She's got a pretty prominent role in that. But I will say at this point, I love her voice. I don't know if it's the intonation or some sort of accent she has, but the way she speaks is very deliberate and almost growly sometimes, which I really like. But all of the women characters in this seemed a little older.
She was born in Massachusetts, Karen.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. The actresses in this for being stars in this film seemed a little older to me. Agnes and her maid.
Yeah.
I don't know how old they were. I didn't look it up, but.
She was born in 1900, so it's pretty easy to figure out.
Okay, well, there you go. She was old. That's pretty. To have a lead in a film, that's.
Agnes Moorehead plays a mystery writer.
Yeah, she's narrating. And she is she writes about mystery and murder.
And she has rented this house in the country
called the Oaks.
She brought her servants with her from her little apartment in the city.
Yes. And she separates one of her servants, her maid, who's been with her for 20 years, Lizzie.
Lizzie, who calls her Corny.
Yeah, Miss Corny. Her name is Cornelia.
But we soon learn that the servants are scared of the bat, who's like a serial killer or something.
I guess he was a serial killer a while back in that area, but now the servants are afraid. They're hearing things, and there was an article about it in the newspaper. And then Lizzie shows Cornelia an article about rabid bats. So she's less freaked out about the murders and more freaked out about the bats themselves. And the rumor is that the killer is known as the bat. And the rumor is that the bat has released the rabid bats in the neighborhood. But Cornelia is very, what's the right word? She's not fazed by it. She thinks it's ridiculous.
Yeah, she's being a mystery and murder mystery author. She's kind of oblivious to all that.
Or just unaffected.
Fear mongering or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. That's her business. She's not, frightened. She just thinks they're being ridiculous. And she just needs to leave for the bank. So.
Yes, she must get to the bank. So she gets in her chauffeured car. I was going to try to figure out what kind of car it was, but I didn't. Sorry, Karen.
Oh, too bad.
You were on fire last week with that. So
I was. Let me go out on top.
Get to the bank, and we meet the bank cashier, I guess is what he is. At first, I thought he was the president, but no, we talk about the president. He's like out in the woods somewhere with Dr. Wells, who we see later, right?
Yeah, she walks in the bank, and she's greeted very warmly by the cashier, Victor. So apparently she's rented houses in this area before. Not this particular house that she's in now, but they seem to know her. Plus, she's a famous author. So everybody seems to know her. She says the house that she's renting is actually the president of the bank's house, but she rented it from his nephew. So Mark. Yeah. And Victor introduces his wife to Cornelia.
And her name is Dale.
Yes. And we learned that she was her husband's secretary before she was his wife. And they're newly married, a couple of months.
Well, December, and it's in the summer sometime.
Yeah. So, yeah. But that's
months,
newly
like
married, that. 6 months. And they also meet the lieutenant is there.
Lieutenant Andy Anderson.
Is that from somewhere else too?
What?
Andy Anderson, Lieutenant Andy Anderson. Sounds like it would be in Mayberry or something. I don't know.
I graduated with a guy named Andy Anderson.
Maybe that's how I know it.
But you
Is he a lieutenant?
You graduated way before we did, Karen. So I'm not sure you know
would
him.
still recognize him. Yeah. But Cornelia excuses herself. She goes to do her bank business, and Victor returns, the cashier, very upset.
Yeah, he got called in the back office. And I wrote, apparently there's trouble at the bank.
Yes, that's never good to get called back in the office. Yeah, he lets everyone know what happened.
The bank has been looted of over $1 million in bonds and other securities.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes.
But he calls everyone into his little fenced-in office, like that's going to be private or something.
Yes, and they're saying, oh, I wish we could reach the president, but we can't because where's the president?
He's out in the woods, unreachable by phone with Dr. Wells.
So we go to the hunting cabin.
Cut to the woods with John, Fleming, and Dr. Wells.
Yeah, this is weird.
And John's pretty open.
Yeah, he's an open book.
First thing he says comes out of his mouth, I think, is, what would you do for $500,000, Dr. Wells?
Dr. Wells says anything short of murder.
And he says, well, why? Why not murder?
Because murder's too messy.
Messy business. But basically, John tells him, hey, I embezzled $1 million.
So why do you think he did that? Why did he tell Dr. Wells?
Because I think he wants to come up with a scheme with Dr. Wells where they split the money and Dr. Wells says he dies. And
oh, so it's a scheme to get out.
Yeah. So they're going to come up with a body
to disappear.
John wants them to, hey, let's get a body. Let's kill our guide when he comes back. You're the coroner in town. You can ship that body back. Say it's me. I dropped from a heart attack. You know I have a bad heart, Dr. Wells. No one would be surprised.
And Dr. Wells does say, well, who's going to take the fall? And he says, before all this plan, he says, Billy, the cashier, or sorry. Bailey. Sorry.
Victor Bailey.
Yeah, I can't read my own writing. Bailey, the cashier, is going to take the fall. But this is the backup plan. In case Bailey gets acquitted for some reason, then he would be the obvious choice. Right. So he wants to fake his death and disappear.
And he tells Dr. Wells that the money is hidden in his family crypt.
But Dr. Wells doesn't believe him.
Yeah, he ain't buying it. He thinks the money is hidden in the Oaks, which is the house that is being rented by.
Well, yeah, because the doctor says, I took care of you when you were very ill and delirious. And you talked about a secret room inside the house, the Oaks. And Doc says, that's where I think the money is. So how much is $1 million in 1959? Do you know what it's worth? What it would be today?
I'm going to do our old trick and add a zero, Karen. $10 million.
$10,182,508. So you're right.
Woohoo!
$10 million is a lot of money.
Not quite $1 billion though, Karen, is it?
I'm so mad. One person won that. One person in Illinois. Yes, why couldn't it have been one? Why couldn't it have been me? $1.4 billion.
I bought tickets. I didn't win anything. I got two numbers right, Karen.
But Fleming's kind of taunting the doctor, saying, well, you could just say I died and all that. But then a plan. Yeah, it's a plan.
He does grab a handgun from his tackle box first, Karen. So
the doctor says, what if I don't agree to this? And that's when Fleming pulls out the little handgun, which was what?
Looks like a 45 to me, Karen.
Yeah, me too. It's just testing you. And says, if you don't go along with this, you'll be the body.
But then there's a fire, Karen.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, there's a forest fire. And they kind of freak out a little bit. John Fleming does. Oh my God, it's a fire. It's coming this way.
Yeah. And as he's freaking out, Dr. Wells grabs the hunting rifle from the wall and shoots him.
Puts him out of his anxiety.
He gone. John Fleming is gone. Next, we're back at the Oak, Karen.
Yep, there's a storm.
Stormy night.
Cornelia and Lizzie are discussing the newspaper because Bailey's been arrested for embezzling.
Yeah, he got blamed for it, just like
they said he would.
They said he would.
And the doctor has returned with Fleming in the box, saying he killed in a forest fire and laid to rest in the family's tomb. And it turns out all the servants have quit, except Lizzie.
Lizzie
and
the chauffeur, who has now been moved to butler.
Well, we find that out later, but yeah. And there's more articles about the bat, how he kills women and rips their throats out with steel claws.
The wind is banging all the shutters and doors and blowing in the windows, and a suit of armor falls down the stairs.
Crashes down, yeah. And that, for some reason, spooks Cornelia. Of all the things, the crashing suit of armor freaks her out a little bit. But they're going to close and lock all the windows.
And we see a clawed hand come through one of the windows, Karen.
Yes, Lizzie sees it right next to Cornelia, and she screams.
So they lock all the windows and call the police.
And they dial 0 for assistance.
They tell the police they're going to lock themselves in Miss Van Gorder's bedroom for the evening and to send someone out. Police say they will.
Right here, I wrote, it's the chauffeur. That was my guess right here. I don't know why. I have it in my corner here. It's the chauffeur. But they do go into Cornelia's room, and she sets a booby trap on, what's that window called?
Transom.
Yep, a transom. So it's just basically an ornate, almost like a bookend kind of thing, so that if someone pushes the transom, it will fall and they'll hear it, because there's no lock on the transom, which is the window above the door. If anyone wants to have a vocabulary lesson today. I like that word, the transom.
Yes, but before that, we see the bat cutting a hole in a glass window pane. Actually, one of the window panes to the door.
Yes. It's coming in, and it's one of those where you stick it to the door and then you make a circle and pull the piece of glass out.
So they booby trap the transom. Then the bat lets himself in.
And he has a black stocking over his face, so we can't see his face.
He makes his way upstairs. Lizzie leaves Miss Van Gorder's bedroom to go get her night clothes.
Now, seriously.
And they see the shadow of the bat in the hallway, Karen.
That was a good shadow. But you just saw a creepy hand coming through the window. The police aren't there yet, and you forgot your freaking night clothes, so you're going to go out. I was like, that's just stupid.
When they're downstairs, Lizzie isn't really fazed by anything either. You know, she keeps telling
phased, yes, but
Van
she
Gorder
saw
that
the hand.
It's just the wind. It's just the wind.
But she saw that hand.
Nothing.
And she screamed. That was silly. But yes, but they do get to see that shadow in the hallway. And it's an impressive shadow. You get to see the claws and everything. I liked that.
They shut the door and then the phone rings, Karen. It is the police. They say they are outside and don't see any prowlers.
No, because where is he?
Van Gorder tells them, well, duh, he's in the house right now. Get into here, break in if you have to, and search it top to bottom.
Cornelia does mention that she has a gun and she knows how to use it. And the bat hears that.
Yes, he does.
Then we see a Dracula moon, which is a foggy full moon.
The bat runs away.
Yes.
Once he hears that conversation.
About the gun, yes.
But apparently he comes back, Karen, because he opens the transom and places a live bat in the room.
Well, the booby trap was a complete fail. It just kind of fell over. It didn't fall onto the floor to wake them up. It just kind of fell there. So yeah, he puts a very fake bat into the room.
But it does fly around.
Yep.
And it lands on Lizzie and bites her in the arm.
Yeah, and she freaks out, as you would.
Miss Van Gorder calls Dr. Wells. Apparently he's the only physician in the area or something.
Yeah, and it's the middle of the night. And she expected him to be in his office, but it's his answering service.
Yep, they say they will try to reach him. If not, they'll send another physician. Next, we see an ornate gate, I would call it, Karen, that says Malcolm Wells, MD on it. And we see Lieutenant Andy Anderson, snooping around outside, Karen.
Yeah, he feels the hood of the car to see if it's warm, looking in the windows, peeping.
We see Dr. Wells in his lab. Apparently he's extracting and looking at bat venom with his microscope.
I just put bat saliva. I don't think they have venom.
Whatever it is.
Spit. He's just trying to kind of holding a slide and holding the bat and trying to put like its mouth on the slide. Like
you're milking a snake.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a bat.
Maybe he's testing it for rabies or something, Karen.
Could be. I don't know how you do that. I thought you had to kill a bat to do that. Must be.
Because I think he says something about you have to kill it and expect it to brain or something later.
So explain how this works.
I don't know, Karen.
This next part was very confusing to me.
I don't know, Karen. I don't understand.
So the doctor's phone is off the hook.
Apparently, if you're an operator, you can maybe bust in.
I guess because the phone starts ringing, but like inside, like you would be listening to it on the handset.
Right.
It's not ringing the bells of the phone. It's inside the handset. Yeah. But it's off the hook laying there, and then you can hear it ringing, and then he starts talking to someone, his answering service. So
and he tells him he had the phone off the hook, and she said, I thought that might be the case. So I
kept trying.
It
was weird. I don't know how that worked.
I don't either, Karen. Don't know.
But they get a hold of the doctor.
So he heads out to the Oaks, and after he leaves, Lieutenant Andy goes in the lab and snoops around some more. He checks out the bats in the cage and opens the window, and there's a big, huge paper mache bat in the window.
It's like, is it a sculpture, a painting? What is it? It's lit up too. So it's almost like it's recessed in the wall or something, and it's lit. So, and there's curtains in front of it, but it's small curtains, like a small boxed area, and maybe 2 feet of curtains. And he pulls it and it opens, and the bat doesn't spring out, but it's supposed to be a jump scare kind of thing. It's lit kind of sinister.
At any point, did you write a note in your notes there that, no, it's not the chauffeur, it's somebody else?
Not yet.
Did you do later?
I did.
Okay.
But very, very much later. I was all in on the chauffeur.
Okay. And they do try to pin it on, make you think it's him later.
But not until later. Yeah. But yeah, I was all in on him still. Did you have a guess yet?
I think I knew.
Did you? I kind of went back and forth, but I was all in on the chauffeur at this point still.
Yeah. Once again, when I like picking a movie, I kind of read about it. And
oh, yeah.
So I kind of forgot, but I was watching it. I was like trying to remember, now who is it? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. So I got it eventually before it was revealed. So we see Dr. Wells arriving at the Oaks. He bandages up Lizzie and then looks for the bat because he wants to see if it's rabid. Doctor finds the bat in the closet. He says it looks pretty healthy. And then Miss Van Gorder walks him out.
Well, wait, he leaves Lizzie some good night pills, which...
Yes, he says, take 1 tablet, and I promise you will have a good night.
Yes, I want some of those good night pills.
So Miss Van Gorder walks him out, and they run into Lieutenant Andy out there. He's outside, and he shows them that the glass has been cut. He says he noticed it as soon as he walked up.
Cornelia tells the doctor about her gun shooting abilities, too, as they're walking out.
She says something about she's written about guns enough that she's very familiar with them.
And the doctor suggests she leaves.
He does.
She leaves, sorry, because it's a tragic place. So they are they're making you think it could be any one of these people, I like those kind of movies. And they're doing a good job of it. Some movies don't do a good job. This one, And
Lieutenant Anderson does make a comment that he's quite sure the bat is not in the house.
Yes.
And he says, not now. Just right. As he and the doctor are leaving.
Yes. Exactly.
So it kind of makes you think that the lieutenant thinks it's the doctor.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
I agree.
Next,
because I wrote the lieutenant suspects doctor.
Next, we cut to Mark Fleming, real estate something. I didn't catch the last word on his office door.
No, I know he's a real estate agent.
And
he's the nephew of the bank owner.
Lieutenant Andy tells Mark that he suspects his father embezzled the $1 million.
His uncle.
Yeah, his uncle. I thought he was his father.
And they can't find the fortune. And he goes on and on about how he's invested in bank stocks and he's going to be ruined if the bank goes under.
Yeah. Bank's not certified. He could lose all of his life savings. Back at the Oaks, Dale, Dr. Wells, Miss Van Gorder, and Judy Hollander. Did you recognize Judy, Karen?
No, I didn't.
She played Darla in The Little Rascals.
Oh, is that why her picture was a little kid?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I couldn't figure out, like, why did she choose that one?
Yeah. Her name is Darla, too, but she played Darla as well. Apparently, she's a key witness because she saw something at the bank. I don't know.
Oh, and Cornelia has new servants.
And she also seems to have everything figured out, I wrote.
She does. She goes on kind of a monologue where she says the money is hidden. And if she was writing the book, so that's why, because she's a mystery writer, she says, if I was writing this story, she would hide the money in the house. And she knows that he would have had a plan because it's a long-term plan to work this all out. And when the house was built, he would have built a place to hide the money. And they wonder where the blueprints are. So
she has Dale call Mark to see if he has the floor plans to the Oaks. And Lieutenant Andy just happens to be there still when Dale or Mark takes the call. And he tells her that he thinks the plans are at the house somewhere.
And he hasn't seen them since he was a child. So he'll come over that night and look for them.
Dale and Judy are staying with Miss Van Gorder. And she asks Dr. Wells to come to dinner that evening, but he declines, Karen.
Yes. So the girls are all staying together. They're her guests for the weekend.
Next, we see Mark arriving, and he just lets himself into the house, doesn't knock.
Well, he kind of looks around to see if anyone notices he's there, and then he lets himself in. So he's acting all suspect.
Yeah, did you say, I think it's Mark now?
No, I didn't. I stuck with the chauffeur. But they're trying to make it look like maybe it's him.
Well, he's suspicious anyway.
He is.
And cut to Miss Van Gorder. I guess the girls are upstairs or something. Or in another room. They're in another room. And she says she's going to write a story about the bat. And she asks Dale, since she was a secretary, if she knows how to take notes in shorthand.
She does.
She does. So she offers her the job. Hey, you got nothing else to do while your husband's sitting in the pokey.
Yeah.
I can dictate you the story and you can put it down in shorthand.
So they're going to work together.
Yeah. Next we see Mark and he finds the hidden closet.
He knows where the blueprints are. He slides a grandfather clock with ease. I will have you know.
Well, he doesn't slide it. It's the secret room is next to it.
No, he moved it.
Moved it after he was finished to cover up.
I thought he slid it away from the wall and then
the bat moved it later, but I don't think he moved it.
All right. I thought he did, but he's prying off pieces of the wall because he knows where the blueprints are. They're hidden in kind of a secret closet near the grandfather clock. So
he finds the closet, grabs the blueprints, and then the bat enters and strikes him.
Pretty brutally.
Well, in this whole movie, all the bat does is like hit people and they're dead.
Yep.
Karate chops them in the neck and they're dead.
He's got these very sharp claws on the end of his glove, and it's supposed to be he basically rips their throat out. That's what he's supposed to be doing. But you see nothing.
Supposed to be. No, there's no blood. There's nothing.
No.
He hits him with a fist. It looks like to me.
But he's supposed to be ripping their throats out. That's how it's described in the beginning.
Yes. And then I have the bat pushes the grandfather clock in front of the secret closet and leaves with the blueprints.
Yeah, I thought he decapitated Mark because I wrote, well, never mind. Go ahead.
Next, we hear the clock striking on the hour, I guess. I don't know. And the women come running in, and Miss Van Gorder says, well, that clock has never worked. It's never chimed.
Yeah.
And the women discover the clock has been moved, and they find the secret passage with Mark inside. And I don't know how he's in there. Is he like hanging from the, because it's like a closet. Is he like hanging from a coat hanger or something?
I don't know. That's why I thought he was decapitated. I thought like his head was up above the bar and then the rest of him was beneath it. But I wrote decapitated ? And then I wrote nope, because later they pull him out. He's all connected.
I just wrote he gone. So next we see Lieutenant Andy driving in his car, and he gets a call on his radio to go to the Oaks because there's been a homicide. He requests that Dr. Wells, the coroner, meet him there. Lieutenant Andy arrives and begins questioning the ladies, Karen.
The lieutenant has pants up to his armpits. That style back in where the pants were so high on the men. He's got his pants like passed way up. Made me laugh. But they all talk about the bat, and the lieutenant starts questioning everybody.
And then Dr. Wells arrives, and Dr. Wells suggests that the bat may still be in the house, and he advises the ladies to leave again.
Well, Dr. Wells arrives and says he's been dead for half an hour with no examination whatsoever. He just says, yep, looks like about half an hour.
Well, you can tell by temperature, but he does feel as...
No, he doesn't. He doesn't do
does.
it. Oh,
yes, he does.
Lying. He just looked at him.
It's Vincent Price, Karen.
So, yes, he says the bat could still be in the house and they should all leave.
It's almost like he's trying to get them out of the house, Karen.
Yes. And he says that the bat is looking for something that's in the house and everybody should get the hell out, which I would, I think.
I wouldn't. I would stay and look for it to myself, just like they do.
So they carry the body off to the sunroom and the doorbell rings.
Because I think at this point, everyone knows what they think is hidden in the house, right?
Yes. Yeah, but still.
It's $1 million, Karen.
True. Well, it's $10 million, really.
Right. All in 10s and 20s, apparently.
And a couple of hundreds thrown in.
That's a big wad of cash to carry around, just saying.
You've just listened to half of this week's episode. Are you loving it? If so, can you do us a big favor and leave a review wherever you listen? Reviews help us grow the podcast. We just want to say thanks so much for your support. Now let's get back to the good stuff.
The butler arrives, Karen.
Yeah, the doorbell rings and the butler comes in.
He forgot his keys, Karen.
Yes, forgot his keys.
It was his night off and he forgot his keys.
And then the lieutenant grills him too.
Yes, he does. He recognizes him from somewhere, but not quite sure where.
Yeah, he's supposed to know him from somewhere. But then the lieutenant tells everyone to stay in the house.
Yep. Lieutenant Andy tells the girls he was with Mark when Dale called. And he basically wants to know who all knew that Mark was coming that evening. And they tell him they all knew Mark was coming and even Dr. Wells was there. So he knew too. Lieutenant Andy sends all the girls to bed, Karen.
Sends them to their rooms.
Tells them to lock their doors.
And Cornelia asks for a police guard, and the lieutenant said he's going to personally stay and guard them.
It's 11 o'clock, Karen. And we see the other investigators leaving the house. I guess they've come and taken all their pictures and dusted for all their fingerprints and all that shit. And we also see the guys from the morgue carrying the box out with Mark.
And who's watching this whole time?
The butler, Karen.
Yep.
The chauffeur / butler. He's watching from upstairs.
He's promoted. He's no longer the chauffeur.
And Dr. Wells leaves as well.
Well, and the lieutenant asks the doc about the killing, and he says he will report that it's the same technique as the bat has used in previous murders.
Miss Van Gorder gives the girls flashlights, Karen, and sends them to their rooms or their room. Next, we see Lieutenant Andy searching the house.
So he's searching it poorly because there's someone behind the door.
Yes, there's a man behind the door when he opens one of the doors.
When I was thinking, well, is it the lieutenant? But he's looking and they show a man behind the door. So I'm thinking, oh, well, it can't be the lieutenant then because.
And that man was the butler, Karen.
Yes, but he's hiding from the lieutenant.
Is he, Karen?
Yes, successfully.
Next, we see Dale and Judy in bed.
Together.
And they're talking about Dale's husband in the pokey.
She loves him so much.
Yeah, she misses him. Next, we cut back to Lieutenant Andy, and he's searching the grounds now. He goes outside, and the butler follows him, Karen.
Yes, so they're both outside, and then the bat comes back into the house and cuts the phone lines.
The bat enters through the unlocked front door, Karen.
Yep, easy peasy.
Cuts the phone line, goes to a room on the 3rd floor, which looks like it is being used for storage, I wrote. There's lots of trunks and stuff up there.
Yeah, I thought it was the attic until I saw there was a fireplace up there. So
he begins knocking on the walls looking for a hollow spot.
Why does he think no one's going to hear him? He's pounding on the wall.
I don't know. Then he begins hammering a hole into the plaster, Karen. Yes. This is plaster. This isn't like drywall.
Well, okay, but still, he's going to make some noise.
Yeah, he's going to make a lot of noise. Breaking up a plaster wall. Miss Van Gorder wakes.
Yeah, she hears him.
To the noise and picks up the phone to find that the line is dead. Well, first, she tries the in-house phone, Karen.
Yes, which I didn't really even know those existed. But okay, there's an in-house phone, which didn't work. So she goes over to the landline.
The outside line phone, and it is also dead. And the other women wake up as well, except for Lizzie. She ain't getting up. She's sleeping.
Because he's making a racket.
But Dale and Judy go to investigate.
Well, Dale wants to investigate because she says if the money is here, it will clear her husband. So she wants to see what's going on. And Judy says, you're not going without me.
Does Dale put on her clothes? It looks like she gets dressed.
They put on robes. They all put on their robes.
Robes and heels, Karen. They put on their robes with their heels.
Yes, as you do.
And then she turns on the light, Karen, on the 3rd floor and walks up the stairs.
She tells Judy
in her
to
high
wait.
Heels.
Yes. She tells Judy to wait kind of at the landing to watch to see if anyone's coming up the stairs, but she doesn't want Judy to get hurt, so she goes in alone.
She opens the door where the bat is hammering on the wall. The bat hides behind the door and grabs her and pulls her in, Karen.
And then runs. He runs out the door.
And then he runs down the stairs and he strikes Judy on his way down the stairs.
He taps her. He just kind of taps her. And I said, did he kill her? He just basically ran into her.
Yeah, I wasn't sure for quite a while. But Miss Gorder comes out and throws something at the bat and hits him before he leaves.
It's a poker, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's a fireplace poker. We see later. And everyone's like attending to Judy. Oh, I'll take care of her, Lizzie says. And
everyone's upset too.
Yeah. And then I say, oh, shit, Judy's gone. She gone.
I mean, he barely touched her.
Who killed this child?
Cornelia's pissed at the lieutenant because she's like, I thought you were going to take care of this, blah. And then he said, why did you stay in your rooms?
Lieutenant Andy enters and he begins questioning the butler. He says he was outside with the lieutenant when he was struck on the back of the head. Next, Dr. Wells walks in and I'm like, well, why the hell is he there?
Well, wait, before you go there, the lieutenant has recognized the butler as a criminal. So he's on a wanted poster at the precinct, but the butler said he's been proven innocent of that crime. That's where the lieutenant knows him from. And then, yes, Dr. Wells comes in out of nowhere.
Bleeding.
Yeah, and goes straight to Judy and then explains he had an accident in his car.
Lieutenant Andy begins questioning Dr. Wells. He said he had an accident, blew a tire, something, and came back to the house because it was the closest house. And he has a cut on the back of his head.
Yes, he does. So the butler was hit on the back of the head, and Dr. Wells has a cut on the back of his head. which, Cornelia's poker could have done that to either one of them.
Next, we see Miss Van Gorder, and she's dictating to Dale, and she's talking in the past tense. So everything she's talking about has happened already. So she's finishing the story in the past tense.
Yes. I said Dale is shorthanding.
So we know it's not Dale and Miss Van Gorder.
Right. She got a new maid into at some point, and they throw a little suspicion on her, even the new servant who had worked in the house for the president of the bank for a long time. So she knew the house well. So they did throw a bit of suspicion on her because she would know maybe if there were secret passages and things.
Miss Van Gorder says that she conducted a secret investigation on her own one evening.
Go Cornelia. She
went to the room where the bat was hammering into the wall. And then we see what she's doing from now on, right?
Yes, it starts happening as she's not narrating anymore. It's actually happening.
Then she goes to the room next to the room where the bat was hammering and begins looking for the secret room.
Yeah, kind of the room opposite.
And we see the butler sneaking out, Karen. Still think it's a butler at this point?
Yeah, I was still all in the butler.
Next, we see the bat at Dr. Wells' lab. Looks like he's going to frame Dr. Wells, Karen.
Does look that way.
So we know it's not Dr. Wells now. But Dr. Wells catches him, and he has a gun, a handgun, another 45, I think, Karen.
I thought so, too.
But just as Dr. Wells is about to fire, the bat pulls down the light fixture.
They fight.
They struggle. In their fight, Dr. Wells is shot.
So we should say the bat is in his costume. That's how, he's got his face covered in his claw.
Dr. Wells is gone.
Yeah.
Next, we see Miss Van Gorder, and she finds a secret room behind the fireplace, Karen. Inside that room is a safe, and she begins trying to work the safe like she knows what the hell. Well, she might.
If she's written about it, maybe she knows.
But the door closes behind her, trapping her in the room, Karen. How much air could she have left in that room?
Not a lot. It's like it's sucked out.
Then finally, Lizzie wakes up.
She realizes something's wrong. Something's wrong.
She begins looking for Miss Van Gorder. She goes downstairs to find the front door unlocked and the policeman who was supposed to be watching them asleep. I think he was drugged, Karen, I wrote.
That's what I drugged, ?
He calls into the station. So apparently they fixed the phone lines by now as well.
I think a week or so has passed at this point.
And we learned that Lieutenant Andy is investigating the death of Dr. Wells. He was found dead in a room next to his garage. I don't know why they didn't just say lab. They said room next to his garage.
Yeah, it was definitely his lab. Because everybody has home labs back in the day.
If you were the doctor / coroner, why wouldn't you? And you had a thing for bats.
True.
Next, we see Miss Van Gorder, and there's no air in the secret room. She can't breathe, Karen.
She's suffocating.
Lizzie, the maid, and the policeman go outside, and they see a light on in the 3rd floor window. So they run up there to look for Miss Van Gorder.
Yeah. Cornelia's slowly suffocating, and they all run outside like they're going to start the search outside. And you think, oh no, they're going out. They're not going to find her because she's going to suffocate because they're starting outside. But then they see the light on. Nobody left that light on, and they all run up to I called it the attic, but that's not, the storage area.
They run up there and find the switch to the secret door, and Miss Van Gorder falls into the room.
Well, she kind of tells them, like, hit the panels. Lizzie just takes charge. Lizzie's badass.
That's pretty good, Karen.
Thank you. Lizzie, she just starts pounding on the panels. I don't see why this movie didn't have lesbian undertones, because Lizzie and Cornelia, Lizzie wakes up, immediately knows something's wrong. Cornelia's in trouble, can sense it. When
they weren't sleeping in the same bed like Dale and Judy, Karen.
No, but
Lizzie was sleeping on the couch.
They've been together for 20 years. And go Lizzie. She pounds on all, because the guy's standing there. Which one should we hit? Lizzie's like, I don't care. And she just pounds them all. And opens the door.
Well, Agnes Moorehead has been identified as a lesbian.
Well, that doesn't mean every role she played was a lesbian.
Just saying.
I'm just saying there were other films that said there were lesbian undertones that I didn't get, but this one I totally would have gotten.
You remember Paul Lynde?
Yes.
He said, and I quote, "Well, the whole world knows Agnes was a lesbian. I mean, classy as hell, but one of the all-time Hollywood dykes." I wish I could do a Paul Lynde imitation. She did marry and divorce a few times, but whatever. Doesn't matter. It is what it is.
No, it makes no difference. I'm just saying they had a good bond, and they, were two older women in the movie that had a strong bond, who had been together for a very long time. I don't see why this wasn't considered a lesbian undertones, because I thought it was a good relationship.
Because I picked it.
Maybe. But I thought they had a strong, caring relationship, because Lizzie goes in there, figures it out, the
Karen,
door opens.
When I pick a film with lesbian undertones, it is obvious.
Okay.
While all this is going on, Karen, the bat watches from outside.
Yes. Who we know is not the doctor.
Yeah, because he gone.
Right. But no one can find the butler either.
That's true. Added some more Coke to my
I was
drink.
going to say there's an awful lot of that drink left for you.
And some ass. But the bat then sets the garage on fire. Karen.
Well, the detective figures out that there's two doors to the secret room. In each of the rooms, there's a fireplace, and he figures out that they both open, and he figures out how to open the door from the inside. So behind the blueprints
Hanging on the wall.
Hanging on the wall is a switch to keep the doors open, so you don't suffocate in there if you're trying to open the safe. But the bat does set fire to the garage to get them out of the house.
Hoping to get everyone out of the house.
Cornelia comes up with a plan.
Yes, she knows that the bat has set fire to the barn to get everyone out of the house.
Yes, so she wants to fool the bat.
Because that's what she would do, probably.
She's smarty pants.
So she says, we're not going out. We're going to stay in here, and we're going to wait for the bat to come in. Right?
And he does.
Yes, the bat enters and he goes into the secret room.
I thought they were going to close him in, like push the trunks in front of each fireplace, and he would suffocate, because that's what would have happened to Cornelia. But
I did too. I thought that was the whole point of like bringing him in and trapping him in the secret room.
Because then he couldn't hurt them.
But no.
Nope. We were both wrong.
Yep. The policeman opens the other door and gets behind a trunk. And he fires his gun at the bat when the door opens, but the bat returns fire and shoots the policeman. So he gone.
He was supposed to have the element of surprise, though, I think, because the bat thought that everyone was gone. But once the door starts to open, the bat knows they're still there. And the detective is shot dead. And then he starts threatening the ladies because he knows they're there also.
He does. And he's about to shoot Miss Van Gorder specifically when someone enters the room from behind and shoots him, Karen. Who would that be?
That's the butler.
The butler did do it, Karen. The butler did it.
The butler shot the bat.
And then the bat is revealed to be Lieutenant Andy Anderson.
Dun, dun, dun.
The dirty cop.
Yep.
Next, we see Miss Van Gorder dictating to Dale again, and she's basically finishing the story. Basically, they found the money, 10s, 20s, a few hundreds, whatever.
Yes, they say that multiple times.
And then she like stares at the camera, Karen, like breaking that fifth wall or whatever it is again. And she says, "Don't try it. No matter how clever you are, you can't hide murder." And then she says, "That's it. That's the end." And Karen, that is the end.
It is.
All right, Karen, anything you were pleasantly surprised or really enjoyed about this film that I have chosen from 1959, starring Vincent Price and Agnes Moorehead and Darla from The Little Rascals?
I liked this film. I thought it was good. It was kind of a little bit like Dr. X, where I really didn't know who did it until they revealed who did it. I never really thought it was the doctor, although he did maliciously shoot the bank president in the hunting cabin, but I liked how they kept you going. They gave each person, each suspect, a reason to be guilty along the way, little things. Oh, he's missing from this scene, or, he's in his laboratory with bats, or he's making you know that the bat is not in the house right now. He's sure of it. Like each person had suspicions the whole time. I liked that a lot. I thought it was well acted. I liked the casting. I thought it was good.
I liked it as well. It got to the point. It didn't mess around. We meet John, the bank president, and within like 30 seconds, he tells that we know that he's the embezzler and he's hatched the plan and whatever. They didn't mess around. Got to the point, and everyone seems a little guilty, just like you said.
Yeah, and since
everyone is, a few of them are a little guilty.
Yes,
like Dr. Wells is a little guilty. He killed that John dude.
Right. And the butler's a criminal, and the maid had lived in the house for a long, long time. Everybody had suspicious characteristics. So yeah, I thought that was good.
I liked Vincent Price.
I liked Agnes Moorehead. I think her character as an author also made it easy to explain a lot of things. Like instead of dragging out the whole plot at the end, the way they did it with her writing the book, she could kind of summarize it. So it didn't feel as rushed as some of the other stories.
Like Murder,
felt.
She Wrote.
Kind of. But some of the movies we watch, the end is very rushed because you have to identify the killer. This way, she's kind of summarizing what happened. So it can move along quickly, but not feel rushed like that.
I agree, Karen.
Ooh, we're a match.
Anything else you enjoyed?
It didn't seem to be big budget. The whole thing pretty much took place in that one set.
Pretty much.
But it didn't feel like you needed to be anywhere else. Kind of like House on Haunted Hill. It all kind of took place in a very specific area, but it didn't feel like you needed anything else. House on Haunted Hill had a few more sets, but the main action pretty much took place only in the house. You didn't go anywhere else. Besides the bank, there wasn't really any other set. The hunting cabin. Well, yeah, and I guess the hunting cabin too. But most of the action took place in the same place. The house was pretty cool. I liked the house, the set too. I like those big old houses. Vincent Price is just good.
Yeah, he is. Anything you were disappointed in, Karen?
I was trying to think about that. Not really. I couldn't really think of anything that. It was low budget, you could kind of tell, but it was well done, low budget. I think, like you mentioned, he barely taps the people and they're dead. You could have at least had a struggle or a little bit of blood, but there was none. That was a little disappointing, I guess. Anything you found disappointing besides?
No, I agree. Same thing. Well, I thought the beginning of this one might have been a little rushed. Whereas usually the endings of these movies we do are rushed, but the beginning was rushed in this. But I don't hate it, but.
No, there was a long conversation between Lizzie and Cornelia at the beginning to set the whole plot, kind of. That we didn't see the bat kill anyone previously. We didn't have like the twirling newspaper that says the bat kills, blah, blah, blah. And then more of that, or they basically talk a lot to move the plot line along. So it's not a lot of action in the beginning. It's a lot of talking to make sure we know what's happening, why she's there, what she does, who the bat is. It's all outlined in the first 3 minutes by the two of them talking. But I didn't hate it. It was fine.
I didn't either. It was fine the way they did it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd rather have it rushed at the beginning than rushed at the end, I think.
I was all the way until the end. I didn't know if it was the lieutenant or the butler until they pulled off the mask. or until you saw it was the butler that shot him. Then you knew it was the lieutenant, but it could have been either one of them. I think when the lieutenant looked in the one room and there was a man hiding behind the door who I thought was the bat, I thought that ruled out the lieutenant. They got me with that because I was like, oh, okay, then it's the butler. But then at the end, I wasn't sure.
It was the butler keeping an eye on the lieutenant.
Yes, it was. I started to suspect the lieutenant when he was questioning right after who got killed on the stairs, Judy, with her testimony that was going to put away the killer, or not the killer, the robber, the embezzler. Right. She had secret testimony. And so you knew she was going to die because she could implicate someone else besides Bailey. Or
she could have evidence that Bailey didn't do it. And then they would start looking elsewhere.
Yes.
So we never really heard what she knew. And
that's what I meant to say. If I don't know what I said.
Because they said, well, whatever you do, don't say anything to anybody about what you know. So we never knew what she knew.
Yes.
But she saw something. Know. That's all we know.
But when the lieutenant was questioning Dr. Wells and the butler, the lieutenant seemed suspicious to me at that point. But then there was the guy behind. It was confusing the whole way through. They didn't really show their hand until the end. I didn't think, but I read nothing about it before I watched it. So
would you consider this a horror film?
I don't know. I mean, I think they were considered horror films back in, is this?
I think 50? It's more a mystery with horrific elements.
Yes. Or a thriller.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily a horror film, but it's
got the creepy old house and it's got,
well, and the man in the mask.
Around
yeah. He's in a mask and, he's a serial killer. So yeah.
It's no different than Jason, right?
Well, I don't know. But what didn't really get explained, I guess, is one thing is if the bat was killing before, was that the lieutenant also? Or did he just take up that persona to try to find the money?
I don't know.
That just kind of.
I almost wonder if it was just an old folk tale or something.
That wasn't real.
Even real that he kind of took on.
Could be.
But if it was a real person, he would be the one probably to know his modus operandi. Karen.
Yes, but was he in prison? Was he dead? What happened to that killer?
Don't know.
So that was, I guess you could consider that a disappointment because it didn't. That's a plot hole kind of that I would like to know the answer to. She didn't say when writing her book, he adopted the persona. She did say why he did it, because he's lost all his money and he needed the money, because of his investments. So she did go into a little background, but she could have said something like he adopted the persona of the bat, or he was the bat and no one knew it in the previous years or something. I don't know. But overall, I think it's a really good movie.
I agree. And apparently it's in the public domain because, like I said, you can watch it for free on Wikipedia and the black and white version.
I wish, I say this often, but I wish they would show these kind of movies on TCM near Halloween. So you could just see these old kind of creepy.
You do, Karen.
I don't see these names. They usually show the better ones, I think.
I don't think they do.
Well, you can text me when they're on.
All right. What kind of cocktail rating you want to give this?
It's a solid 3 for sure. It could be a 2.5 even, but it's not really horror like you said. So I think it's a 3.
I agree. It's a 3. It's not a 2. It's a 3. 3 cocktails, Karen. And comments on our cocktail.
It's boozy. I don't remember because it's boozy.
The blind bat. Yeah, the blind bat.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a blind bat after I drank it.
Did you finish it?
No, about halfway.
Like
it's a little too boozy.
It would have been better with more, like I said, right. Maybe a couple ounces more Coke than vodka. But
I liked a little bit of rum in there. I like a rum and Coke. But yeah, I would have reproportioned it a little bit. That's a little too much for me. But it'll get you there.
Anything we learned today, Karen?
Yeah, we didn't learn a lot today. We learned a little bit about Agnes Moorehead's personal life.
Well, I read more after. There were plenty of people who said she was not as well. So, and they kind of said that's just Paul being Paul. You know?
I really enjoyed her performance. And I think I like her voice, like I said, and she carries herself with an air of classiness, I think. I hadn't seen her in anything but Bewitched in the other movie, but I didn't realize it was her when I watched that movie, Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte, or whatever it is. But I like her. I'm a fan. Because in Bewitched, it was comedy. I just thought she was really good. It was surprising to me, pleasantly surprising.
Her first film was Citizen Kane, Karen.
Oh, nice. So we learned about her a little bit. We learned about who was it not the Little Rascals?
Judy,
what was she?
Darla. Yeah, was in Little Rascals.
Little Rascals. Okay.
Our gang, whatever you want to call it. Darla.
We learned that $1 million in 59? Is that what it was?
Yep.
It's worth 10 million today.
Just add a zero, people.
When in doubt, to get the bell out of zero.
That it? Anything else?
I guess I could have talked about bats or something, but
yeah, Dr. Karen. What'd you think of Dr. Wells' lab, Dr. Karen?
It's a little sparse.
He had live animals in a microscope.
It's true. He was just putting spit on a slide. No cover slip or anything, just going for it.
As you do.
I guess if you need to. I don't think we learned much else. Well, what a transom is, if anybody's interested.
Did you know that Agnes Moorehead was the voice of the goose in Charlotte's Web?
I think I vaguely remember that. She would be a good voice actress.
Yeah, it looks like that was her only voice, but she would be. You're right. All right, Karen. I believe next week is your choice then, is it? Is it not?
It is.
Go on.
For next week, I have chosen the 1962 film Carnival of Souls.
I like that title, Karen. I'm not going to lie.
So did I. That's pretty much why I picked it.
1962. Any reason why you picked this film, Karen?
No, I just was looking through possibilities, and just like you said, and I thought the title looked interesting. And it was on one of the lists of the best horror films.
I know I've looked at this before. I know I have. Apparently has a huge cult following, Karen, and is occasionally screened at film and Halloween festivals. Influenced filmmakers such as David Lynch, George Romero, and somebody else I can't pronounce.
Well, then I think it fits our genre.
Apparently it is in the public domain as well, because you can watch it for free on Wikipedia.
Great.
I believe that is the name of a Kiss album as well, Karen, just so you know.
Well, good. We didn't have a Kiss reference today, so.
Yeah, so I'm reading like the synopsis, and I feel like I kind of already know what is going to happen. It's become a trope now.
Oh.
So I feel like, I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like I kind of know what is going to happen.
This is the original that the tropes are based on.
Could be.
If it's got a cult.
It's got 4.5 stars. I mean,
No, it looks interesting. So.
And I want to tell you, but I don't want to ruin it.
Radio Gold.
I'm going to save it. Save it for next week. And maybe
at
the very end, I said, see, I told you every time, blah, 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 blah.
I think I know what you mean, but we'll see. I didn't have a whole lot of time to research it, to be honest. I did this whole thing in about 10 minutes.
I'm down with it. Do you have a cocktail, Karen?
I do.
Go on.
The cocktail is called the Car Crash Cocktail from Cocktail Builder. You're going to need 1 ounce of amaretto almond liqueur. It seems
that's one of my favorites, Karen.
It's a big drink, I think, because it says 7 ounces of sweet and sour mix, 7 ounces of orange juice, 1 dash of grenadine, and 1 ounce of Southern Comfort peach liqueur, or any peach liqueur.
That's a big glass, Karen.
Yeah, but then it says, pour the Southern Comfort and amaretto almond liqueur into a Collins glass over 1 or 2 ice cubes. Fill the glass with half sweet and sour mix and half orange juice, and top with grenadine and serve.
Okay.
So that doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just use 3.5 ounces of sweet and sour mix?
Well, that's probably what we'll end up doing.
Does this just assume you're going to drink 2? I don't know. It's just weird. Those are the ingredients. So I think you'll like it.
So what's it got again?
Amaretto almond liqueur, sweet and sour mix, orange juice, grenadine syrup, and peach liqueur.
Peach liqueur.
I think we have that.
Can I use peach schnapps?
I think you have peach liqueur. I think we had it for some other drink.
No, I think I have peach schnapps.
Well, look and see.
I think it's the same thing.
Close enough.
I do like my amaretto.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good.
All right, Karen, anyone you need to thank this week?
Well, you know who I'm going to thank. I'm going to thank. Yeah, I'm going to thank our listener.
Our listener.
Thanks for choosing us. We know there's a lot of podcasts out there, and you choose to spend your time with us. So thank you very much. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Well, Karen, of course, I need to thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast. What would this podcast be without the music, Karen?
Without our soundtrack?
Tell me.
I don't know, but music does make the podcast better.
It does.
We have our own soundtrack.
Yeah, not quite as good as Jerry Goldsmith and The Omen, but it's pretty good.
Well, I think we might be the reason it's not as good.
Speak for yourself, Karen. So next week, Karen, we'll announce the winners in our contest.
I'm sure they can't wait. I can't wait.
It'll be very exciting.
You can play a live drum roll.
I could. Yeah, I could set up my drum and do a live drum roll. I totally could do that.
And if you can't, Jack can. Be more authentic if you did it, though.
Okay. Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You know, we really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.